And we are live.
Okay, hi Peg.
Hey, Shell, how's it going?
Okay, welcome to February.
Yeah.
This month for our monthly challenge, we are doing watercolor. So tag
Woohoo!
your things with hashtag AJOS watercolor. Today, Peg and I are going to be doing our very simple challenge with simple watercolor techniques. But as the month goes along, we will be also featuring watercolor on our live streams on Thursdays at 10:30 Central Time every Thursday morning, and we will be posting things off and on through the in the group, having to do with the theme of watercolor for the entire month of February. So we're excited about that. What
Yeah,
is
and there are
watercolor?
so many watercolor mediums.
Options, yes, so many. Watercolor refers to a type of paint that is a pigment suspended in a water soluble medium, usually gum arabic, but sometimes it's honey or things like that, depending on, fancy ones you get. You can get everything from inexpensive watercolor palettes and tubes to very expensive custom done ones, even handmade ones like this one I just got is a neon color set, is handmade. I guess we can switch over to the twos
Yeah, it's
and
so
look at
cool.
stuff.
Yep.
Um, everything from, I mean, there's so many options. And also, your other options are your watercolor crayons, your Inktense pencils, your watercolor pencils, your fluid watercolors. I mean, there's anything that's a water soluble, a pigment suspended in a water soluble media is a watercolor. So you've got all kinds of options this month. Um, everything from very simple to a lot more complex.
Yeah, so
So
we're good whatever water soluble media you have, it's fine.
yeah, anything, even if it's just a kid's $2 paint set.
Yeah. I got this for Christmas and I'm going to start with this. This is a an ink. It's Starlet Sea from Diamine and it has some silver pigment in it and it's blue and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to start with that. But um, what our challenge is for the month, because we've changed up the pick a stick to this monthly challenge, and with AJOS watercolor, we still have 6 steps and 2 colors, and so we're going to add water to our paper, and then we're going to apply a wash of color, intensify the color flow, add a design element, put in shadings, apply some splatters. So um, red and turquoise, and I think this blue is going to suit me for my turquoise.
All right. Well, I'm applying some. I made a drawing on my page already before we started because we were messing around. So I just went ahead and made a cute little whimsical drawing of some cats. Of course, being February, we picked red because of the predominant holiday being Valentine's Day. So we've got the red, of course. And this book I'm working in is a watercolor book. Let me just think about turquoise here for a minute. Got to figure out where my turquoise is. The background color that we picked, like we said, was turquoise. As you're working in watercolor, you should have a couple different um, things available to you, which is a few different containers of water. I just use plain old jars from the pickles or whatever. You should probably try watercolor paper. It is designed for watercolor, so therefore it is more absorbent than other paper. Also, really hardy and willing to take a lot of punishment. Watercolor paper is.
Yeah, I'm using, I think, the same Grumbacher watercolor journal that um, Shell is using. These are nice paper. She has the any outie. This one is just the ring bound. So,
Actually, I switched from. I don't have that one out. That
oh,
was
don't
last
you have
month.
that one? Okay.
Yeah,
So
that was last
anyway,
month.
This is a good paper, and I've evenly did a wash with water, wet that down, and now I'm going to get a nice brush that has a good barrel on it that's going to absorb my ink. And I'm going to wet my brush, and I'm just going to pick up some of that beautiful blue with the silver in it, and I'm going to drop that into that wet background and let it move.
Yeah, the book I'm using is the Arteza watercolor one.
Oh yeah, I've got those too. They're fine.
It's not as I think the paper might be just a little bit too absorbent. So I'm not getting much of a wash. I've got water on there, but it's just not fanning out like I'm used to. So paper's pretty absorbent, I think. But still, watercolor paper still holds up great to all the nonsense you might put it through.
So I'm going to have a paper towel here, or Kleenex or something.
There we go.
Because it's running. It's running. And I don't want it getting in under my tape. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that on the excess. I'm going to get a thirsty brush by cleaning off, and I'm going to pull around the edge there and pick up that excess with my thirsty brush. And that's a technical term.
Well, thirsty brush would be one that's got a large bowl at the end where it can hold a lot of water. So it's the construction of the brush. And I would recommend that you set aside some nice watercolor brushes that you only use for watercolor, and you don't use them in acrylic at all. Sometimes watercolor brushes can be really dang expensive too.
So as I put the color down, the mica pigment does not show as much until it starts to dry. So I'm drying the paper down a little to see what we have.
Well, I'm adding more water because the paper absorbed the water completely, and I'm not getting any wash at all. The wash is when the water disperses the pigment and pushes it out. It kind of almost resists the pigment, pushes it out, and then you get a really, nice blending effect. You can see here where I added more water, it's more blendy than over here where I started, where I had put water, but yet it still was being a jerk. So yeah, I got a lot of lines in it because that's just what happens.
You guys see that silver shimmer in there? Isn't that pretty? So I think I'm going to bring out even more shimmer. I'm going to take, this is my Paul Rubens palette, and it has shimmer paint in it, and it has, let me wipe that down. It has some turquoise colors and some red colors. So I'm just going to spritz my watercolor.
You're going to bump up the shimmer?
I'm going to pump it up.
Bring on the bling. Bump up.
Yeah. Going to get that turquoise shimmer.
Oh, whoops. That was a lot more pigment. It's easier to do a wash if you don't have to work around a drawing that you already did.
Yeah, true.
But we were sitting and I drew something, so now I gotta stick with it.
So I'm just adding a little bit of that turquoise into that silver shimmer. And now I've got a turquoise shimmer on top of the silver.
Pretty.
And it looks kind of cloudy. Like a stormy sky, maybe. So I'm just going to dry that.
I also did not tape my edges, which I should have, because now I'm like going all the way to the edges of the paper. It's probably going to get on the paper that's underneath, but
cute imagery. I think your cats are going to be darling.
They're whimsical little cats. You know. I like to, for some reason, I like to watercolor cats. I don't know why. Weird thing. I don't even have a cat. I have a dog. Whimsical cats are fun to watercolor. Oops. Should probably lift that. Dang it. Got too much.
I think I need up in this corner, I still need a little more of that turquoise. So I'm going to pump it up a little bit more with that turquoise.
Usually you don't dry watercolor. You let it dry as opposed to drying it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but it's pretty hard to do a watercolor journal page in the amount of time without having some dry time.
Yep, absolutely impossible to do it in our case, but in your case, you might actually be able to get away with it as you're doing your challenge. Of course, we love it when you do the challenge. We want to see the challenge. So please post whatever you do for us to see. Okay, that's a little bit washy. That's good.
So in addition to that, I want to get some white and do some splatters.
Are you up to splatters already?
Well, I want to add some to the background before I start putting imagery on here.
Oh, okay. Seems like you're ahead of me on the challenge. I don't know. I'm still doing washes.
Around the challenge.
Still trying to wash. So
let's see if I can gently splatter some of this onto the background here.
What's going on there? Don't come out of there.
Just have a real fine, misty, white shimmery splatter. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. So I'm going to set that aside to dry while I work on another component.
Well, that's smart.
Because I have washed and put on the color and intensified the color, it's time to add number 4, my design element.
Still washing.
So you guys see the white splatter? And the shine on that, gorgeous shine. Very pretty. Okay, so I have these stamps from Dina Wakley. And I'm going to add a stamped image or two. I've stamped this out on some just tag board. And I'm going to use some, I've got a woody because I noticed I grabbed my ink tints first and I wanted to use them. And so I was pulling out some colors and I noticed right away that with the ink tints, this is just a little carrier case where I have my ink tints pencils. The kit I have does not have a whole lot of flesh tones in it. So it's just it has some flesh tones like this. I can use this for shading, but I don't see anything, fleshy. So this little girl is going to get some woody color on her too. So I'm gonna start with, I've got a pan from Sennelier, and I'm going to start with this red tone because our color is red and turquoise. So I'm just going to wet those. And I'm going to get a much smaller brush. I want a detail brush. So let me grab one of those.
So it's funny that you should mention flesh tones because I was just using my brand new palette that it's all about complexions and all the colors to make skin tones.
Yep.
Just got it.
So I've got my little pouch here that's got a bunch of small detail style brushes, and I'm looking to see what I want to use here. I think this will do. And I'm just going to take some of that woody and apply it to my craft sheet. And pick it up with a brush. Because what I want to do is just lay in, not real wet. I don't want it real wet. I just want to lay some color into the face here.
So step 1 was to add a wash or washes. Step 2 is to intensify the color. So that's what I'm doing right now. It's just in areas where I want maybe a color blend or a more intense color. I'm adding and then blending in. So like the under part of this guy needed to have more weight. Same thing over here. He's already got a pretty good shadow right there, but I think I'll intensify a little bit right here. Maybe add a different color, like some of this rusty color. It's nice. And just blend that out into the rest of it. Because the whole point of watercolor really is like you want to have color variation. You want to have interesting blends and gradients and stuff. And if you don't want that, if you want smooth color, then you probably should just go with acrylic or oil.
Yeah, I personally love a granulating watercolor.
Ooh, me too.
And I know that there are other people who just can't stand it. And I'm just saying, oh, but that's the best part of watercolor.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now
I think it looks more watercolory when it's a granulating watercolor.
right. But I've always loved that about watercolor, the way it breaks naturally. Just so I'm going to add my ink tints for shadows here. Shading. You know, get some color on the cheek and chin and nose, bridge of the nose, and under the chin. And then we'll add a little, oops, that was a little more water than I wanted. We'll add a little contour, shading around the arm. You know, because your arm isn't just flat. It's not all one color. Shadows.
Shadows everywhere.
And she can also get a little bit of, where's my Stabilo? Here we go. Add just a little bit of dark around the shoe area here. And it looks like she's wearing kind of a little pinafore apron or something. So I'm going to make her a redhead. Since red is our color.
I need to get some red. But I'm still on, I think, step 2. I don't know. Just trying to have some fun here. There will be red.
There will be red.
Yes.
So I think her do I have a So this set is from Prima, I believe. Yeah, it's the Woodlands one from Prima. And I want to use some of these blue shades in here. What I'm thinking is I have, because we are doing February and hearts, What did I do with it? I had a heart die cut. I'm thinking it might be an element that I add on the page here. So if I'm adding that heart, might as well add a few more hearts, right?
That's what I'm doing.
And
Down.
I want to colorize her little pinafore. So I'm just going to get some of this really pretty stream color blue. I'll wipe a little of that off. And the underskirt is showing out blue. And I think she'll have some blue socks too.
Gotta be matchy matchy.
Well, yeah. So then I'm going to take a little bit of that same blue. I'm going to water it down quite a bit because I'm going to go back to doing a wash. So I think I want to get a little more water than that. So let me grab. There we go. Now we're talking.
All right, let's see.
So I want a nice watery blue here. And I'm just going to go around these hearts. And push that back into the background a little bit with that blue stream color from Prima. And let's see. I want to go back to my red now. And I also want to mix up a little bit of color.
I was looking for a drink and I just about went and rinsed my brush and my drink.
Oh no.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah. I've done it. So I don't want this really intense. I just want kind of a wash here. Bringing that out kind of as a pinkish tone red. And then I'm going to take that Inktense pencil and do some shading with that around the edge.
Sounds like a good plan.
Now you notice I'm tapping the excess water off on my cloth because this is not watercolor paper. I do not want to saturate it. I just want to add a little bit of color and knock back that tagboard tone. So I think she's kind of like a little paper doll ready to go. And now on these hearts, I'm just going to take the Inktense and I'm going to color on one side of each of these hearts, and then I'm going to wet that and draw it across so we get a gradient. And that'll give us a little more interest. The other thing I like about watercolor is I never feel the need to stay within the lines.
True.
When it comes to watercolor. However, when you're touching things that are still wet, you do have to dry things. Now this, I think I want to add a little bit of white stays on too. Because you know, it isn't all just watercolor. I have to mix it up a little bit.
For this one, I'm going to do my best to stick with just watercolor.
Oh, you are so good.
Which is hard for me.
Well,
Where's the collage? Where's
I could put some white watercolor on there, but this is, I think, a little bit easier. Because I just want to edge this heart die cut with a little bit of white.
Makes sense.
And
I'm probably going to want to add white too.
Well, it says put in shading. It doesn't say with what. So, so I'm using my artistic license.
Okay.
And I did shade those other things. So I'm just going to rinse my sponge out. And I think I will go back and grab some of this blue ink that's in the background and just hit the edge of these hearts with that. So it doesn't look just like a piece of cut paper. It has some dimension. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. Here's our heart die cut, and here's our little girl paper doll. So I think I'm done with those. So I can move that aside. And done with the woodland. Now, where are we? Put in shading, apply some splatters. Really, have I already done them all?
I think you've already done the whole challenge. Yeah.
I think I should add a few more splatters, though. I think I should. So I'm going to get some what do I want to use here? I think I'll get some white. No. I should get, iridescent. Yes. Because we've got all that shimmer going on, right?
Definitely.
So I've got an iridescent pearl. Got all that shimmer going on in the background, so I think if I'm going to splatter, I ought to do that. Oh, yeah. So then I also have, that's got to go back with my ink tints. Also have a little tag here. So let me take a little bit of that iridescence and run it down the middle. And then I'm also going to get this red Intense. Oh, I don't want to use that one. I want to use this one because it's better. And I'm going to punch it out with a little tag punch. If I can get it to position where I want it to go. I need my little sticky thing. You know, my gem picker?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where that is at the moment.
I didn't take it. I'm fairly certain.
Well, it's got to be right here somewhere. I'm probably looking right at it, you know?
Probably.
You do that, I do that. Come on, gem picker, jump out at me.
I think you'd scream if it jumped out at you.
Here I am. Okay, this is when you tell yourself it's time to clear some of this off of your desk.
Too much water.
Well, I'm telling you, I could be looking right at it. Oh, well, I'll figure it out.
Eventually.
So I'm going to punch my tag.
All right. Add water, add a wash, intensify color, add a design element, put in shading. I think the only thing I have left is splatters. So, what should I do about splatters? Maybe just white. Try to do white. I do actually have a white watercolor here in my palette, which is kind of a,
Probably a gouache.
it's more gouache than watercolor, because watercolor's supposed to be translucent, and white is not translucent, so else it wouldn't show. It would just be invisible. But it did come with the watercolor set, so
Because they know
they know that
no, we're supposed to leave white, that we still need a white.
Yeah. I might add a little highlight to my hearts with the white.
So there's my little tag, and I'm just going around the edge with my Inktense pencil. Give it a little shadow. And then I will hit that with my water brush and move it in towards the center a bit.
Okay, I did it. I stayed with just 100% watercolor.
Add away.
For this one. Since we were trying to do watercolor, I just...
Yep. So there, you can see how I've added the colorization with that Inktense. So now I can assemble, well, sort of. I want to get, before I pull, let's see if this is dry now. Pretty much dry. Before I pull the masking, I'm just going to take my Stabilo and go around the edge of the mask, because we need to intensify color, right? So I will put that Stabilo right there at the border.
Added some turquoise spatters too, just for fun.
And then I think I also need kind of a landing spot for my person here. So let's put a little knoll hill in there with that. And I'll come back and hit everything with my water brush. Shade this down a little bit.
Yep. I think I only used one brush. I didn't even branch out to a different brush. Guess I could add a little bit of shimmery color on here. That wouldn't kill anybody since Peg's not done yet.
So these are going to go down. Let me get the tape pulled. And that white contrast with that dark blue is going to be gorgeous with the shimmer. And I also wanted to put a little shimmery, I forgot, I need to put a little shimmery heart on her pinafore. So let me grab one of these iridescent colors. And where's that little fine brush? Just want to add a little heart right on her outfit here.
I forgot to give my other kitty any little warm colored cheeks.
Okay.
I'm going to put yellow gold on this one.
So that's a little better. And let's dry it one more time, make sure before I glue things down. So we've got our heart. And I want some thin line glue for that. So I don't want it going everywhere. And moving my watercolor. Probably should have used a dry adhesive. That's what I should have done. Maybe I can still do that. Let me get a glue stick. Because, you know, when you're working with watercolor, you got to be careful about all the wet things that you're putting on top of it. So, grab a glue stick. I just had it out here. Here it is. Here's an Elmer's Extreme glue stick. So I will put that down. Add my little heart element. Over the top. And our little paper doll girl. Glue it on. And then our little tag. Really cute, Shell.
Thanks.
You know I like little quirky animals.
Yep.
So there's our watercolor challenge.
Yep.
AJOS
Watercolor challenge. So we hope to see your guys' watercolor art all this month of February 2022 in our Art Joy of Sharing group.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.